So you may have heard the term bracketing. In today's video, I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to show you how to do it with your DSLR and really just kind of demystify what that means and how you can apply it to your photography. Stick around. So bracketing is a way to create the same image at different exposures. And in a few minutes, I'm going to put this camera on a tripod and I'm actually going to take some shots in this room. And what it is it's basically just different exposures of the exact same image. You can either blend them together afterwards in an HDR program or in Lightroom to balance out the highlights and the shadows, or if you're not sure of what your exposure could be, maybe you're in a bright outdoor situation and you really can't tell from your viewfinder, take a series of shots and hopefully one of them will fall into the exposure that you're looking for. The cameras make it very easy to do this. My DSLR here has a designated button for bracketing. The M50 that I'm shooting on, you have to go into the menus and mess around with it a little bit, but it's not that hard to do. It's basically the same concept no matter which camera you're using. Okay, so here we are on the back of my camera. Now I'm going to press the bracket button on the front side of the camera. And if you look at the top there, it says 0 or it says OF. Okay, so I just have one exposure set. Now the little mark here and here, these are the two control wheels, and one's going to control the number of shots. Would like to have 5 shots. And the top number, this one here, is going to control the difference in the exposures. So right now I have it set to 1 stop. I can set it to 2. I can set it to 0.7, 0.3. So I'm going to just leave it at 1 stop. I've already focused on my subject here. I'm going to take a shot of the back of my window here in the back of the house, and we're going to take the shots. And now listen to the camera and see how quickly it shoots. Now as I roll through these images, you can see that this one is completely overexposed. That's the 4th shot, that's the 3rd shot, that's the 2nd shot, and that's the 1st shot. So now all 5 of these images, when I blend them together in the computer, it's going to give me a balanced exposure. So that's what it means to have a balanced exposure or to create an HDR. Let's do this again. I'm going to do 9 shots. Now the first one is going to be overexposed. You can see that it's blinking, so I'm going to actually change my exposure a little bit. Okay, so I'm at f5, my ISO is 4000, and I'm at 1/4000th of a second. But I want to make sure every exposure is going to be sharp, so I'm starting at a high shutter speed here. Let's see what happens when we do this. So it went from completely overexposed all the way down to properly exposed and even a little underexposed. Okay, so I'm here at the computer and I took the images that I shot in the other room and I loaded them into Lightroom. So there's 2 sets of images here. There are 5 and then there are 9. And that's what I showed you when I was showing you how to bracket on the back of the camera. Those are the images I took. So now we're going to jump into the computer here and I'm going to show you how to combine them and see if we can balance out these images, or maybe there's one that works better on its own. So let's get into the computer here. Okay, so if we look here on the computer, you can see here on the bottom, these 5 images right here. That was the first set I took. Okay, so these 5 are one set, and then these 9 are another. All right, so let's start with the 5 and see what that looks like. So we're going to highlight all 5 of them. So if you hold down the Shift key and you click on the first image and then you click on the last one, okay, those will go into the develop module actually. Okay, so now if we right click on this and we hit Photo Merge HDR, it's going to give me a preview window. And if you saw our video on HDR, I'll put a link in here so you can check it out. Show you exactly how to do this, but Lightroom pretty much does it on its own. It will match these 5 images up and then it's going to show me a preview, and I have to decide if I want them to create the HDR or not. Sometimes the HDR doesn't look so great, and then what happens is I will take one of the images and just work on it. but I have so many different exposures here that it's great. I have a lot to choose from. Okay, so that's the image. So let's merge it, and now it's going to create a merge of these 5 images, and it's going to put a new version of it in the film strip here on the bottom. What you're going to notice about that is dark parts of the image. Like if you look at this image here, background is all blown out in the middle, but the sides of the room are exposed much better. If you look at the first one, you see the background is perfectly exposed, but you can't see any of the detail here in the dark parts. Okay, so here is the HDR. So if you compare it to the first one, you can see it tries to balance it out. And same thing with the last one, where the back is totally blown out. It's trying to balance it between that. Now, what I would do here typically is I'd come in here, and Lightroom already makes some adjustments to the image, but I can go in and then tweak this even more. You know, I think the white balance is off. You know, so there's any number of things that I can do here. You know, this is what you would do, and this is why you would bracket, to kind of balance everything out. All right, this is a quick edit. I'm not going to go too crazy here because I just wanted to show you what the bracketing actually does. Okay, so maybe we'll open up the shadows a little bit more. So that's a pretty well-balanced image. Okay, it's not perfect, and it's an image of nothing really, but that'll give you an idea of what it is. Let's put together the 9 images now. So the first image is really dark. The last image is way overexposed. So let's see what Lightroom does with this. So this is the same thing. I'm going to take the 9 images now, and I'm going to put them together, and Lightroom is going to build me a preview right now, and then from there I'll be able to decide if I want to continue using that, or is it, you know, not quite right, and maybe just pull. I don't have to use all of these exposures either. I can use 3 of the 9, I can use 5 of the 9, I can use 7 or 8 of them. It doesn't matter. So that's something that gives you a lot of versatility when you're going to edit. By the way, I'm loving this autofocus. Okay, so here we go. This is 9 images merged together. I actually like the way that looks, so I'm going to let Lightroom merge it, and then I'll see what the finished image looks like. Now there should be more information to work with here, so I should be able to open up the shadows a little bit more and work with the highlights a little bit better, because there were 9 images that were blended together instead of 5. So if you have the ability to, and the room on your memory card, to take more images than you think you might need, it's never going to hurt you. You can always delete them afterwards, as long as you have the memory. Okay, here's the finished image. So again, I think the white balance is a little bit off. So I would pull the white balance slider down a little bit, make it a little more blue. Open up the exposure, bring it up a little bit. Pull down the highlights a little bit more. Maybe open up the shadows a little bit more. Add a little clarity. And let's dehaze this a little. Here's the first image. Here's the last image. And this is the blended image. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of why you would want to bracket. And basically, as you can see here, it's just different exposures of the same exact scene. You can do this manually just by adjusting your settings as you go, or you can let the camera do it with the bracketing settings that I have there. If you were going to do this manually in the camera, you would just adjust your f-stop to make the exposure time a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, or there's a few different ways that you can adjust the exposure time. But basically what you want to do is just create different exposures of the same scene and then just blend them together in Lightroom. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Hope you had a nice Christmas yesterday, and click the subscribe button if you like these type of videos, and comment if there's anything you want to see or you have any questions. This video was brought about by somebody asking me a question on one of our comments where they asked, what is bracketing? Could you go into it a little bit more? So I was happy to do it. Okay, and click the little notification bell if you want to get more videos like this. Okay, we'll see you in the next one.